Welcome to Tabletop Tonic. I'm Lucas Missler.
And I'm Nick Dorica.
This is episode 3, baby. We are back. We are better than we've ever been before, but not as good as we're going to get.
Did we peak?
No, we're not as good as we're going to get.
We haven't peaked as yet.
No.
Right.
I mean, we might have peaked at episode 1. Who knows?
We're just starting.
But no, we're climbing to the top, baby, of the podcast charts. Funny thing happened to me today, and it was a great omen that this is going to be a spectacular podcast. I went to Saratoga State Park for a little walkie around the town, and I was driving home before we did this, and I saw a plane in the sky, and it had a banner behind it, and guess what the banner said?
Was it a Cuomo banner?
It was a Cuomo banner, but it said, "We support Cuomo."
Really?
That's right. These people, apparently plane money is everywhere because this is a counter plane for what flew over Albany last Wednesday.
This is actually insane to me.
Yeah.
I mean, when you told me about the plane over Albany with like what was it, Cuomo go home? Or
yeah. New Yorkers say Cuomo go home.
I mean, the idea that someone or people put together money to do that was insane to me then.
Yeah.
But the fact that people were like, no, don't go home. You stay there.
Yeah.
And we're going to put a plane up in the sky.
Someone, our theory was wrong last week because someone looked into the skies and they saw something. They were looking for an answer, but they're like, oh, fuck this. I have plane money. Let me show people what really matters. So we support Cuomo. I saw flying over Albany today. I didn't see the plane last week, but oh man, it was special seeing that today.
That's a little nuts.
Yeah. So I knew this was going to be a great podcast. It was the perfect omen for us.
It's like they knew you were there.
Yeah. I think it was probably someone who listened to this podcast last week.
They tracked you down.
And they're like, these fucking idiots.
They're like, Luke, he's walking at Saratoga today. That's where we're going to put the plane.
Yeah. No, it was in Albany.
Oh, it was in Albany?
Yeah, I was driving home and I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it's in the exact same location. I want to know, is it the same plane? Is the pilot conflicted at all?
They hired the pilot probably doesn't care because he's like, geez, I got both banner money.
He's the real winner in this situation. He's like selling guns to both sides of the war because he's
like an arms dealer.
I'll fly no matter what.
Yeah.
But he's making out with the big bucks here.
This is probably the most money he's made in like this year, probably.
Yeah.
He's like back-to-back Cuomo banners. Yes.
So next week I say we put together a little money and we hire this guy and it will say Tabletop Tonic Cuomo question mark.
Listen.
Just leave it ambiguous. It'll be the emoji, like the shrug emoji, and then like the eyes, like the two eyes. Like
it's Cuomo. I don't know. I don't have an opinion.
Yeah. But and that will definitely draw some ears. Draw some eyes and draw some ears. I also felt like this was a good omen. And I can't wait to see your reaction on this one. A couple days ago in San Diego Zoo, there was a guy and him and his toddler, his 2-year-old baby girl, they're watching the elephants. And these are African elephants. They're huge. They're like 4 tons, I'm pretty sure. That number, I can't even wrap my head around.
The African elephant is the big... There's 2 elephants. There's the African elephant and the Indian elephant. The African elephant is the biggest.
Right. And this guy was like, I got to make this day special for my daughter. So he goes past the fence and he sneaks into the enclosure. And I guess his wife was there. And by the way, this guy's 25. He's your age. So like, just like wrap your mind around that.
First off, I can't imagine me having a kid. But like 2, with me being the same age and having a kid being like, oh, so wait, he went into the enclosure?
Went into the enclosure and he turned around with his girl with his back facing the elephant to get a photo op. And the elephant charges him. And there's a whole video on it on YouTube. It's fucking amazing. Charges him. He realizes at the last second it's charging him. And he runs to the fence, slides under it, drops his baby by accident in the enclosure, quick grabs the baby, and runs out of the enclosure. And he was arrested on the spot by the San Diego police. What? And he's in jail with $100,000 bail for child endangerment. And the baby went home with the wife,
who I can only imagine called up a divorce lawyer that night.
Well, she's not exactly mom of the year.
Oh, wait, she was taking the picture, right?
It didn't say if she was the one taking the picture or the photo.
Because if she was taking the photo, she's equally a piece of shit.
She was probably taking the picture because I can't imagine he pulled some random dude to the side and was like,
hey, I'm crawling in there. Take this picture.
Can you imagine you're at the zoo and a guy comes up with his baby? He's like, hey, can you get a picture of us with the elephants? You're like, yeah, sure. And then he goes full sprint into the enclosure.
Bolts over the fence.
Oh, my God.
I need a hot pic for the gram.
But it was so funny. And the elephant roared? Trumpeted? Yeah, like after. It was clearly pissed. It felt like threatened by him. Oh, man, this is so funny. But the wife is not in any way... cannot be spared of this because I doubt the conversation was like, no, don't do it. I swear to God, don't do it.
And she's like, let me go. I have to go to the bathroom. Just stay here. And she comes back, nowhere to be found, looks into the enclosure. Your toddler is about to be fucking crushed by an elephant.
Yeah. I can't wrap my mind around like the thought process where someone would think this was a good idea. He is literally like a second away from getting trampled by this elephant.
And you're holding your baby.
And dropping.
Yeah, you and your kid are going to die.
Yeah. It's also debatable. If you watch the video, the baby is dropped. Witnesses say he threw the baby to try to get it out of the fence and then went under and grabbed the baby. I thought when I watched it, it looked more like... he tried to do a sweet slide and, like, drop the baby.
He was sliding into home and he dropped the ball by accident.
Yeah. But this is just, it's so funny because either way...
it's insane what people do.
Yeah. Did we not learn anything from Harambe?
Here's how I could differentiate Harambe is, didn't the kid accidentally fall into the enclosure?
Yes.
This is a grown-ass man my age who knows better than to fucking tangle with an African elephant.
Yeah. Which is probably worse than a gorilla. Well, they'll both kill you.
Yeah, the gorilla will rip you apart.
You'll get impaled by the elephant.
Yeah, the elephant will impale you and like stomp you to death.
Right. So, but we learned though, like, so like that kid fell in by accident.
Yeah.
And luckily... they were, I don't know if it's luckily, because it's the whole thing.
The worst that happened is, like, he got, as was described to me, an atomic wedgie by the gorilla.
But, I mean, he was dragged around.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos are very funny. I mean, that poor kid, but also, it is really funny watching, like, Harambe. Because we know what happened, you know?
Harambe.
If something did happen that was, like, worse, then it would be a different story. Do you think it was justified when they shot Harambe?
I was like, no. I thought no, because he wasn't holding on to the kid anymore. I thought, right? The kid was just in the enclosure. They probably could have just got the kid out.
I don't know if they released when they actually shot him. They definitely have the video of him dragging the kid around. Yeah.
And then they got a dude with a sniper rifle who like picked the gorilla off, right?
He was just a random dude at the zoo who's like, finally, my time to shine.
Picked a great day to leave my rifle in my truck. I will shoot that gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't think.
Because people are outraged.
Yeah.
That is kind of like the crux of why it's such a meme.
Yeah.
And why it's like rest in peace, Harambe.
Also in that case, that's not the gorilla's fault. Like this is a wild animal.
Yeah.
And you're keeping them in an enclosure just for people to gawk at. And a kid falls in. If this was the wild and you stumbled upon like a wild gorilla, what do you think would happen?
Right.
It'll probably mess you up.
They have the same mentality. People think that because they're in a zoo, like, oh, this polar bear is like very friendly.
It's my best friend. He came up to the glass. We high-fived.
But if anything, they're angrier.
Oh, yeah.
That they're like enclosed in this like shitty environment.
And if given the chance, will eat you.
The way it was explained to me, and like in articles I read, like back in, was it 2015 when this happened with Harambe? Or 2016? Like around that time?
Yeah, it was around there. Because one of my friends from Hudson Valley got me a Harambe shirt.
Oh, that's funny.
For my birthday.
Hell yeah. That's sweet. They were worried that if they shot him with a tranquilizer dart, that because it's not instant. It's not like the movies where he just like falls asleep.
He would freak out or something.
Yeah, they get enraged and then they fall asleep. They're afraid that if they shot him with a tranquilizer, he'd tear this kid apart and then go to bed.
I can see that, but also let me like dome shot an endangered African Highland gorilla is also like
but I think so. We have the hindsight of knowing what happened.
True. If
they didn't and the kid was like torn apart, then it would be a different. People would be like,
True.
"Why the fuck did you?
Why didn't we shoot this gorilla?
Why didn't we shoot this gorilla?" It's really a lose-lose situation. Cincinnati Zoo being clearly like the big loser.
Harambe just shouldn't have been so aggressive.
Yeah, and they had to post like, "Please stop." Like, we're very sad about Harambe. Please stop posting.
Statue. It was a Cincinnati Zoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has a statue there.
Yeah, because we know someone who went there. And was accidentally went like the day they had the funeral for Harambe.
By accident showed up to Harambe's funeral.
Do zoos depress you when you go?
Some zoos. I've been to some where I feel like, oh, this is like a big, nice enclosure. I went to one. Where was it? It was somewhere. I think it was in New York State. I can't remember where it was, but the tiger enclosure was all concrete. And I was, it made me sad because I was like, this is like no way a wild tiger should be living. Like they don't even like feel grass under their feet.
Right. They're like a Joe Exotic situation.
Yeah, exactly. Like looking at Tiger King. That just made me sad. Yeah,
they were definitely confined in that like small area. And he had better enclosures than Carol Baskin did, and she was she was the one who was like fighting for like their rights, but she literally ran the same operation, just like a shittier version
in tinier cages. And
she didn't feed them Walmart meat.
True, but she did feed them her husband.
Oh yeah, I wonder what's tastier at the end.
Which she 100% did.
You think she killed him?
Oh yeah, you remember after OJ murdered his wife and he got off? He wrote a book about, if I did kill her, this is how I would have done it. And it was exactly what happened to his wife.
Very smart to do that.
He capitalized on it. Good for OJ. But
and now no one can drive a Ford Bronco ever again.
They're coming back in style now. No, Ford Bronco came back because of OJ's popularity, like his recent surge.
Didn't they discontinue it after that chase?
Yes, after he drove the wrong way on the California highway.
They found a shoe print on the scene of the OJ incident, and I think if there's like one of 6 in the world of this like one Italian specially made shoe that he owned. And there are pictures of him in the shoe, and then after the murders, he's never like wearing the shoes anymore. And if that isn't damning enough evidence of like someone doing something, I don't know what is. Yeah. Because that's crazy.
The thing that really fucked him up was the glove.
He left a glove on the scene?
So he killed his girlfriend and her boyfriend.
Was it his wife or girlfriend? I thought it was his wife.
Were they married or was it his fiance? They might have been married. It might have been his wife.
This is also when we were like born. This happened.
Yeah. Only thing I know about it is the documentaries. And did you ever watch the People versus O.J. Simpson?
No.
It was essentially just a recreation of the entire thing. It was a TV show. It wasn't like a doc or anything, but it was very good. They did a good job with it. Cuba Gooding Jr. was O.J. Simpson. But they found a blood-soaked glove at the crime scene, and it was an isotoner glove. And there was a certain point in the trial where everything turned, and it was like, oh, we're going to get a guilty verdict. And then for whatever reason, one of the is it the prosecutor who goes against the person who's on trial?
Mm-hmm.
They asked him to put the glove on. And because the glove was soaked in blood, I think it shrunk or something. But he tried to put it on, and he couldn't get the glove on his hand. And the best phrase in court history has to be OJ's defense lawyer says, "If the glove does not fit, you must acquit."
Wow. He threw in a rhyme. Is that what they teach you in law school?
I think they teach you to be like bombastic towards the end. Like say something that'll get
the jury's attention.
Yeah. Get the jury's attention. Either say something crazy or say something, I don't know if damning is the right word, but something that drives home that, either my argument's correct or, the other side's argument's correct.
Yeah. I knew this kid, he was going to law school, and he said on like his first day, it was literally like one of the first pages of his textbook. It was all his professor drilled in the fact that a lawyer who is his own defendant, who's his own lawyer in court, is a fool of a lawyer. Because I guess that's a thing. If you're a lawyer and you think like you're like hot shit, you are like, oh, no one can defend me better than myself, and it always turns out poorly because it's not a unbiased like thing.
Yeah,
because you're legally allowed to defend yourself in court, and like your ego gets in the way.
You also get those idiots who are like, I'm not going to hire a lawyer. I'm just going to defend myself in court,
right?
Because I did nothing wrong, and I can argue my way out of this. These people have a PhD in arguing, essentially.
Basically, yeah. And there is also like, I know like the was it defense attorneys that work for like the state, like you're assigned a lawyer.
Yeah,
I know they are like super overwhelmed with the amount of work that they have, and they can only allot so much time.
Yeah,
I wonder if there would be a case where it might be better to like defend yourself instead of using like something that's like just given to you.
Maybe.
I doubt it.
It's usually the psychos though that say they're going to defend themselves. It's like people who are like, I have 20 counts of murdering women on me. I didn't do it. I can handle this.
Yeah. Because they're already like screwed up in the...
Yeah, because they think they did nothing wrong, sort of deal. There's a lot of Law and Order episodes where the person that they arrest, who clearly did it, goes on trial and they go, I'm just going to defend myself.
It is kind of sad that if you can't afford a lawyer, then they give you one. And I'm not saying like it's like a shitty lawyer. I'm sure they're like good at their jobs, but like they only have so much time for each person.
Yeah.
And they can't possibly give you the best like case.
I'm pretty sure it runs the gamut, but I'm pretty sure you get these defense lawyers who are just, they're just like, oh, whatever. You're my 20th case today. I really don't give a shit. And then I think there are people who when they get a case, they really care and they try to, if they try to do their job to the best of their ability.
Right. But it feels like in like a court of law where everything's supposed to be like completely balanced, money will win in the end, like every time, because you have someone who like has money against someone who can't afford a lawyer.
Shit sucks, yeah. To talk to a lawyer, like to call them, they charge you like by like oh, this is $100 like every hour.
Yeah.
So,
which I mean, a law degree is like expensive, and like there are like fees and stuff that like have to be covered, but it does like suck if you truly are.
Imagine calling your mechanic
and just to talk,
and you're like, "Can I get an oil change?" And they go, "Yeah. By the way, it's $45 an hour." So
you get charged though if there's nothing wrong with your car and they inspect it though, for like a lot of places.
Well, you get an inspection, you get charged.
But like if you hear like rattling and there's nothing wrong with your car, they'll like.
Well, that makes sense because you use their time.
This is true. Yeah,
but just calling them and they're already working for you, and then they're charging you. They're charging on top of that. Like,
yeah, that would suck.
Yeah,
I guess you could also say you're using the lawyer's time too. but it's not nearly as expensive.
True, yeah.
But
they're wasting my time. Why aren't they paying me?
yeah. Did you hear? I sent this to you last night. I don't know if you saw it or not, but on March 31st, Mario is dying. Mario from Mario Brothers from Nintendo.
He's dying?
Yeah, he's gonna die because
It's about time.
Yeah, it's this new internet meme that's going on, and so I don't know if you heard about this. I know you're not a Nintendo guy at all.
Yeah,
I am. I enjoy
please,
Nintendo.
Yeah, please explain.
So basically, it's the 35th anniversary of Mario Brothers.
Okay.
And so for the 35th anniversary, they did like a bunch of cool stuff. They released an anniversary edition Mario Bros for the Switch. So it's Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 64, and Super Mario Sunshine.
Which is the one when we were playing Smash like a couple weeks ago? You remember we played on a Super Mario level, and you said that was the worst Mario ever, but that was the only Mario I ever played. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
Super Mario Bros. 2.
It was. You remember there was the waterfall and those logs.
Yeah, that's Super Mario Bros. 2.
Okay,
that's an NES era and Game Boy era one.
That was the only one I ever played.
Yeah, that one's terrible. But they released this anniversary like edition, and then they also released like a special Game & Watch like little console for $50 where you can play Mario Bros. On it.
Okay,
And they like also have like a Super Mario Battle Royale where you like it's Super Mario 35 where you go and you play through like Mario Bros levels and like you're going against like 99 other people. And Nintendo did this batshit crazy thing, which they do all the time now, where on March 31st, you can't buy the anniversary edition anymore on the online store. And from Nintendo stores, they're actually pulling it from the shelves. They're not making it after March 31st.
really?
They are discontinuing the Game & Watch console. And the servers for Super Mario or Mario 35 Battle Royale are being shut down. You can't play it anymore. And these only have been out for like 4 months now. All these things.
And they're just shutting them down?
They're just completely getting rid of it. And they said in the beginning, like you can get this stuff until March 31st, and then you can't do it anymore.
So why would you buy it?
Exactly. Why would they make something that people have been asking for?
I don't understand how Nintendo actually makes money.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's probably consoles because they make their own consoles and they have exclusivity.
And then they release a game like once every 15 years. I have no idea how these people are making money.
They're bangers of games. Nintendo does have a huge indie shop. Like the Nintendo eShop does have a ton of indie games on it that are exclusive to Switch that people enjoy a lot, and they get a cut from profits from that. Also, there's a Nintendo Online now, which is $20 a year. And it's like basically like Xbox Live.
Doesn't Nintendo also allow some other games that are released like on like Microsoft and PlayStation?
Some, but the Switch is vastly underpowered compared to like Xbox or PS4.
Do they have Skyrim?
They have Skyrim.
Everyone has Skyrim.
Yeah, it's buggy though. It's very buggy. It's more like the Xbox 360 version than like the Xbox One.
Good old memories.
Yeah, it really brings back the nostalgia.
I'm glad as these systems progress, Skyrim still can't run properly.
Yeah, because they're so focused on fixing like the water, like how the water looks, and not any of like the game-breaking bugs in it, like when they like remaster it. But yeah, so the internet has dubbed that Mario dies on the 31st of the month because it's such a crazy thing. Like, how can you release something that people have been asking? People have been asking for Super Mario Galaxy and like these games on Switch forever. And in older Nintendo consoles, like the Wii U and the Wii, they had a virtual shop, and you could buy almost every game they've ever made for like the Wii or the Wii U and play them. And on the Switch, they don't have that. So we finally get these games in like a better resolution and stuff. And if you are waiting to buy it, you just can't anymore. They're completely taking it off the shelves. But it's also a problem because Nintendo is terrible with, like, people want to play these, like, people have huge nostalgia, you know, like over, like, these old games.
Yeah.
And so people will get, like, emulators and ROMs and stuff, And like there was like a huge Smash Bros. Melee tournament, which was a GameCube game, and they filed a lawsuit against like the people who were like playing it online.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, like free Melee. And it's crazy because you can't go to a store and buy a GameCube and buy Super Smash Bros. Melee anymore. It's not a possible thing. So the only way to enjoy these old games is to do it online. So it's not like Nintendo's making money off this. They just want exclusive rights to their property, you know?
It's like that Sonic the Hedgehog game, right?
What one's that?
The one, didn't fans make a Sonic game?
Sonic Mania, yeah. They made. But that was because Sega is terrible.
Sega's not related to Nintendo, right?
No.
Okay.
They were...
I thought like somehow Nintendo purchased Sega or something like that.
No. I mean, there was a time where Sega versus Nintendo was like a real thing. For the Genesis, their slogan was...
Did Sega have their own system at one point?
They had the Saturn, the Genesis, and the Dreamcast. And they had one other one too, I think. But they really were like going back and forth. And in fact, Sega's like slogan was Sega does what Nintendo don't. That's like a little clapback.
What killed Sega?
They just like... Their games were not... It was really the switch to 3D platformers. Because... At the time of like the Dreamcast, which actually was like a much more powerful console than like even the original Xbox, the PS1, the Nintendo 64 and stuff, they made very good 2D games that were like 16-bit. Okay. But they could not get the switch to 3D right.
They couldn't figure out what like PlayStation was doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just couldn't figure out how to do a good 3D game because they had Sonic like mastered in like 2D, and they could not figure out how to make a good Sonic because that's like it was the big flagship. Everyone wanted to play Sonic on like the Sega systems.
They didn't give Shadow a gun soon enough.
Yeah, actually, the last Sega game that was released on their own console was the first appearance of Shadow the Hedgehog. Right. So he was the downfall. But yeah, so that it kind of killed him in the same way like that Crash Bandicoot kind of died and is only now getting like a resurgence because. Like there's always like a platform jump. How do we make this game better and like still stay true to our roots on like a new system? And a lot of companies just can't.
Well, if you wanted to play Crash Bandicoot, you could just get Uncharted 3. And there.
Oh yeah, you can play Crash Bandicoot in that, right?
There's a level in there where you play Crash Bandicoot.
That's Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Naughty Dog owns the rights to Crash now. They didn't back then though.
Does Naughty Dog own Crash Bandicoot? I just thought because Uncharted was a Sony exclusive that they were able to put.
No, Naughty Dog does Crash. Naughty Dog used to be.
Does Naughty Dog also do Is it Ratchet and Clank?
I don't know if Ratchet and Clank is Naughty Dog. I know. I'm
gonna look something up.
Sly Cooper is because they used to make 3D platformers.
So Sucker Punch.
Oh yeah,
Sly Cooper.
Sorry, Sucker Punch is Sly Cooper. Jack and Dexter is Naughty Dog.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Did you know? In just speaking real quick about Sly Cooper, because Sucker Punch made Ghost of Tsushima. Mm-hmm. There's a secret achievement you can get in Ghost of Tsushima. There's one color. I forget which armor. It's an armor set you can get a color for, and you get a headband for doing a certain haiku, and it's on the headband. It's white, and there's a gold like crook thing, like Sly Cooper's weapon. It was like a shepherd hook or something.
Yeah, he had like this hook thing,
and then one of the samurai sword. You know how you can get like alternate different it's not the swords that change, but you know how like the scabbard changes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You know how there's like fur ones.
Yeah,
there's one that looks like a raccoon tail.
Okay,
and you when you wear all those things, you get an achievement. Like it's called like I forget what it's like you sneaky raccoon or something like that.
Oh, that's funny.
I forget, and it's a little nod to Sly Cooper.
That's cool. That's a cool Easter egg.
Hold on. Just because I was playing The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, Naughty Dog has really transitioned to like these platformer-esque shooters now.
They had a little secret thing in... What is it? Oh, Yeah. So there's one part, they have a PlayStation 3 in there, and they have Uncharted 2 on the table, and yeah, Jack and Dex. Can you see what game that is? That's here, you can grab it. It's
That's Uncharted 2,
and then,
Jack and Dexter, and
I don't know what the other one is, but
I don't know either.
That's
pretty cool though.
Yeah. Also, if you scroll over to the other image, there's a.
Oh yeah, she's reading City of Thieves.
Yeah,
my favorite book.
She's reading that one, and then. So I mean, everyone probably knows this, but the person who does the voice for Ellie is. Oh my gosh, she's super talented. Why can't I remember her name? Hon, I'll look up their names real quick.
Do you think?
But both of them. The girl who does the voice for Ellie and the girl who does the voice for Abby. I know who does the voice for Abby is Laura Bailey. But they're both on Critical Role.
Oh, the D&D podcast.
Yeah, the D&D one, and one of the Last of Us. One of the rooms you go when you're playing as Abby and you're crawling through buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You go into a house in their dining room table. It's set up. Someone was playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that's cool.
A little nod to
her.
Ashley Johnson. That's who Ellie is.
Okay.
Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey are on Critical Role. Did the voices for.
Do you think video games are getting worse in general?
They're not being. It's getting worse in the sense of. Here's the picture, by the way, if you want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a little woods thing set up. It's cute. His name's on the thing. I wonder if they put the names of the other players from Critical Role on there. So I don't think they're getting worse in the sense of like content and graphic wise. I think what's getting worse is I think these major game labels,
studios,
that's the proper way to say it. They think it's okay just to release all these unfinished games. Like
right.
Cyberpunk's probably the biggest fuck up in the history of games. Because first off, I can understand if they just announced that game, say last year,
mm-hmm.
and people are like, I want it. Okay, we release it. This game isn't finished. They announced this game 12 years ago.
Right.
What the fuck were they? They must have only been working on putting dicks and boobs in that game.
I think that with Cyberpunk, the scope of it is just too big. There's too much stuff that they wanted to do, and they did not give themselves a proper amount of like time to like do all this stuff. Because
I mean, look at Red Dead Redemption 2.
Right, but the scope of Red Dead Redemption 2, while that is very like character driven and story driven, mechanics wise, there's only so much you can do. You can shoot a gun, you can use a melee weapon, and you can ride like a horse, and there's like little things you can do. But like that's the vast majority of what you're going to do with your character. The rest of it is all baked in like dialogue and stuff. With Cyberpunk, you can get like swords in your arms. You can like get like different cars that like function different than like other ones, and like you can hack into like systems and stuff. It's a huge like scope of like stuff that you potentially could do, and they wanted to do more stuff too, like design your own car and everything, and like different like leveling systems and stuff. So like I think that Red Dead's so good because they limit like the stuff that there is that you can really do, and it plays more like a movie in terms of like the characters and stuff, and they have so much good content there with like the animation, like the graphics and stuff, than Cyberpunk, where they just went so big they could never live up to like the scope of what they were trying to do. It needed more time in order to.
I guess, but after 12 years, how the fuck are you not finished?
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't. They should have toned it down like way more, and then focus more on the story, like Red Dead 2, and it would have been finished and been less buggy.
How can you release a game where the first patch you get is 47 gigs? How?
Yeah, and it broke it more
because these games are already
huge,
massive files to begin with, and you release a 47 gig patch.
But also with like Night City compared to like the world of like Red Dead 2, there's so much more like busyness going on in like Cyberpunk. Like there's way more NPCs. There's way more like cars driving, like police, like just like different things happening at one time. That it's so much harder for the game to process all the background stuff than in like Red Dead 2. I'm not defending Cyberpunk at all because I played like 30 hours of it and was unable to finish it because there were just game-breaking bugs.
Yeah, well, I just refused to buy that game just because, I mean, what you were saying, I mean, when you first bought it and you were telling me about it, I was thinking about getting it because I was excited for it. I wasn't one of those people who was tweeting CD Projekt Red asking when it's going to be released so I could take work off for it.
Yeah.
I didn't care that much. But I was kind of like, okay, open world sci-fi RPG. This will be pretty cool. I'll grab it. And they promised it for the previous generation of systems. So PS4, Xbox One.
Right.
The naming convention for Microsoft fucking baffles me to this day. But PS4, Xbox One, and then they release it, and CD Projekt Red says, "Oh, these only work on the next generation systems."
Yeah,
you promised this game for the previous consoles, and just because the next gen comes out, and I mean, it does. Obviously, because they're the next gen, they'll function more efficiently than the previous generation.
Right, because they don't have to be coded as efficiently.
But being like, fuck, it works better on this one, so now it's going to work on this one better than it's going to work on the previous system.
Yeah,
I think that's also unacceptable. I mean, not to keep shitting on Cyberpunk, I didn't even play it, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla did the same thing. Well, Ubisoft also has a big history of doing that with all their games, though.
Yeah, I put like 70 hours into Valhalla.
It was at a certain point they just stopped caring about the Assassin's Creed games. I think it was...
I would argue they never really cared because they came out with one every single year.
True, but wouldn't you say Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, AC3... Probably after AC, I think
Black Flag.
I like Black Flag, but a lot of people hated Black Flag.
I like it a lot. I
think it's a great pirate game. I don't think it's a good Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, but it was fun though. And I don't really look for like story in Assassin's Creed. I also feel like with Assassin's Creed though, we have some nostalgia over it because we were like in high school.
Was good with the Desmond storyline. I thought all that was good.
I like replayed them. Like all like within the past 2 years, and it does not hold up like you think it would, because I thought it was the best story ever when I first played them as like a kid. I was like, holy shit, these games are amazing. The story is great. And then like you kind of go back and like look at what the actual story is, and the concept is cool, but you're like, what the fuck is happening? If those games were just you were the assassin and you weren't like this guy in a modern age going into the Animus.
Yeah.
And it takes you out all the time to like tell you the modern story.
That was the least part of, because I remember playing the first Assassin's Creed game, and I would really get into the like all the Crusade stuff that's happening as you're playing, and then you have to come out of it because you reach your checkpoint. And you have to be Desmond again. And he has to go to his bedroom.
Yeah, it's like, who cares? Just let me have fun.
Yeah.
And also, they stretch these games. There's another thing that happens a lot, too, now, is these games that could be told in, like, a really good game could be told in, like, 20 hours, 24 hours. They stretch to, like, 70 hours. Because I played Valhalla. I put, like, 70 hours into it. But, like... it took me like 60 hours to beat the game. And I didn't even do like that much like side stuff at all. It just took that long to be able to like beat it. And there was a lot of fat they could have trimmed off that story. There were huge segments where they like told the main story, and I was actually interested. This is cool and stuff. Excuse me. And then they just like go for so long about like these characters that you don't care about, and you're like, just let me get back to like the stuff I was interested in before. Just let me have fun, you know? I'm just trying to plow through this in order to get to like the next part.
Yeah, I guess you could say some. I do enjoy long form games. I really like I think what did a good job of it is I really like The Last of Us Part 2, how that game's kind of as long as you want it to be.
Yeah.
And
that's what it should be.
Because you could just run through that game just to get through the story. Or there is stuff in there where you can look around and find more stuff to keep you.
Right. And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be stretched out just so we can say it's a 60-hour game. It should be like, this is how long it should take for the story to naturally progress.
But on the flip side of that, the Spider-Man Miles Morales one.
Yeah, that was like a 6-hour game.
Wouldn't you say that's kind of shit, though?
I liked it a lot, but was not...
But the time you put into it probably could have just been a DLC download, probably.
Exactly. It's not a $50 game. It is a $50 game. Yeah. It should not be a $50 game. It should have been like a $30 game or a DLC because it's essentially the same mechanics. I mean, it's a little like revamped. It's a little more polished, actually, which is nice. But yeah, they definitely could have added more. I mean, the story worked out nicely, it being like 6 hours. I wouldn't even mind if they did like different chapters of it with like Miles Morales. That'd be cool. I like the story, but it was real. It took me like a day to beat the entire thing, and then there was like nothing really left to do.
Kind of after that, it's kind of like, oh, I spent $50 on this. What the fuck?
Yeah, because I'm not gonna like go back and like play through it again. Where Spider-Man took me like 24 hours to beat, and then they came out with 3 DLC. Yeah. I think the problem is that they advertised that Miles Morales was like the sequel. And it is, but it's kind of not because it's so short.
They kind of promised that in E3 a little bit. Because I remember when they showed the trailer, they made a point to say, you know, Miles Morales is in this game. And they were like, and maybe he's going to be in the next one. And everyone was like, oh, everyone creamed themselves.
Yeah.
And then... They were like, oh, here's a 6-hour game.
Yeah.
We slapped together.
The side missions were a lot better in this game than in the original Spider-Man.
They were like, to go find your backpack that you
they had stuff like that.
You webbed onto the side of the UN building.
They did have stuff like that, but it was much more like concise and like fun to like look for this stuff, and there was like a lot less of it.
My favorite part in the... Was it just called Spider-Man? Did it have a
Spider-Man PS4? I guess you call it.
That's what it was just called.
Just Spider-Man.
It didn't have like it didn't have a name to it or anything. It was
just Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. My favorite part with those searching missions was when you found things that related to like the Marvel universe as a whole, because you find the Wakanda embassy, Sanctum Sanctorum, and the Avengers Tower.
Yeah, like little Easter eggs. Yeah, that was cool. I think that my problem now
and then they shit the bed with that Avengers game.
Yeah. Well, that was Square Enix, which I don't think they make any good games, including Final Fantasy VII.
I think I told you this already, but when I did the mission, it was the photography one where you take pictures of buildings. I took a picture of I got a dialogue thing where when I took the picture of the Avengers Tower, Peter Parker said, the Avengers are on the West Coast. I wonder what they're doing. And I know the Avengers video game that came out took place in California.
Okay.
Because there's stuff. I thought they were going to tie in together. I don't think it ended up being that. But.
Nah, they're different studios, and they're making like a Spider-Verse, like Marvel, like verse for like that line.
I thought it was going to be cool because I thought all these things were going to tie in together, and they're going to make. I thought that Avengers game was going to be a single player thing. Where you kind of got to play through all the Avengers and you got this story in the end.
Right.
And it was going to tie into this video game universe, but it turned out to be nothing interesting at all.
Yeah. I think the problem really with video games now is kind of on the consumer, because everyone wants like the next best thing. We want like a bigger open worlds, better graphics, you know.
Yeah, but
like
then we're the dipshits that keep buying these unfinished games too.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we'll give you a huge open world, but there's gonna be like nothing in it. Like it's not gonna be like a smaller confined world with like Easter eggs and stuff like in Red Dead 2. It's gonna be huge, and you're literally just gonna be like spend like half the game riding across the map and be like, oh wow, this looks nice.
I think
there's no substance.
I think the way to fix I think there's two things that they have to do to fix. Well, one thing is us as the consumer that we can do to like prevent these unfinished games is no longer pre-order anything.
Yeah, pre-ordering
once you pre-order,
dead.
they have your money, and they don't care. It's like
Cyberpunk made their money back in pre-orders alone.
It's like I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl that happened.
No,
but
not the last one. I was working.
I know we won't get into sports too much. People who are listening probably don't give a shit about sports. The only sport I really care about is football. You basketball, I know. I know people say that, the refs got in on that game also, but there was a certain point where the Kansas City Chiefs, who are a fantastic team, could have dug their heels in and turned it around, but it got to a point where they just didn't give a shit anymore. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, they really don't have to. They really don't have to care at that point. They made it to the Super Bowl. They're not going to win. They also have all of them have $60 million contracts. In the end, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but did they really lose?
No, I guess
you're a fucking millionaire playing on one of the higher tier NFL teams. Mm-hmm. Just because you don't get a $1 million ring at the end of the day, you're gonna cry yourself in your $60 mansion? Like,
so you say like for like video games, they're kind of just like shooing it in.
It's the same thing. Once they get your money, they have millions of these dollars on pre-orders. Mm-hmm. At that point, they don't have to give a shit anymore. They're pretty much,
because you bought it.
They pretty much feel, oh, we made our money back. We just jerk off for the next couple months.
Yeah,
I think. And then the other thing is, I think in a lot of these bigger gaming studios, there's this. I know a lot of like some interviews I've listened with the voice actors talk about it. There's this huge crunch culture there, where it's not, okay, we're going to start this game this year. We have 5 years to finish it. This is our deadline. Everyone start working, and we're going to divvy this out. They go, oh, here's an idea. We need this next year so we can slap this on a PS5 or something like that. Start working. Work 18 hours a day. Get this game finished.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, because when you have people who are overworked, working these insane hours, like trying to code and stuff, I don't think anything efficiently is going to get done.
Yeah, because then you have stuff like Call of Duty, which is like you can't even fit on a base PS4 anymore, because it's so like that game alone you can't fit on a PS4, and even if there's no bugs or anything, it's not optimized very well. So there's just so much code. And when cell phones first, so for like video games, when it was just like on consoles and it was on a disc and you didn't have to download anything, optimization wasn't like a huge thing, because you could put like, as long as it fit on the disc, you're fine. So you take up the entirety of like the disc, and then like with Blu-ray disc and stuff like that for like Sony, you take up more space. And then when cell phones came out and like games on cell phones got like really big, back with like Angry Birds and stuff, the huge push in the industry started to be optimizing code, where before it didn't really matter how much space you had. Cell phones have very limited space on them compared to other things. So you can make a game that is 2 gigabytes, or you can make a game that's 500 megabytes, and they could be the same exact game where like the person playing can't tell a difference if the code is like as efficient as it possibly can be. But now that we're seeing more of these like big downloads for games, even if you buy the disc, you still have to download stuff online. Yeah. People don't care anymore, so they're like, oh, we can push out a new Call of Duty every single year, and we'll just make it 500 gigabytes, and it doesn't matter because people are going to buy it, people are going to download it, even if they have to delete all their other games, and it just doesn't matter anymore. It's not optimized at all, and so then like when it's a huge problem because like it takes up a ton of space, for the consumer, and it's just like not. It's clear that they just pushed out as fast as they possibly could.
Yeah,
because there's no reason that the new Call of Duty game has to be more space than Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a way huger game.
Yeah. That game came with 2 discs. The one you have to pre-download before you put in the second game, which is the second disc, which is the actual game.
Yeah.
Same with GTA 5. That was the same thing. You had to put in that pre-download disc before you could put in the second disc, which is just the game.
Yeah. And Red Dead 2 is 92 gigabytes. It's a sizable game, but it makes sense for a game that huge. They clearly spent the time to work on it and polish it. And there weren't these bugs that like literally shut down your fucking console when you're playing it.
The only bug I remember that came out, and it was the funny one, was there was that place outside of Rhodes where you couldn't see it, but there was just a massive fire pit there. And people would stand at this crossroads and record just the NPCs riding back and forth, and just and then them and their horses catch on fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I never saw that one.
Oh, that was funny. That was a funny one.
I'll have to look.
But that was like a bug where it was so tiny and didn't mess up gameplay that somehow it was coded in there that there was just like this unending flame that you can't see, and the NPC, and it was like in one of those paths that an NPC has to take, and they would just catch on fire and die. And there would be like 10-minute videos of just like burnt horses and people just piling up on each other just because they can't get out of it. And
but that's not game breaking.
Yeah, it's not game breaking, and it's like a goofy, funny thing. And then I think shortly after they found, like, Rockstar saw that was in there, they got rid of it.
Yeah,
it's not in there anymore.
And in Nintendo's defense too, they always their games never have like bugs. Like I never find like bugs that like.
I'll say that about it. Yeah, I'll give that to Nintendo. I don't give a shit about their games or their consoles, but when they release a game, it doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's always completely polished, and that's why they only release a couple games like every so often because they put so much work into it. Because they literally build new engines for like every like new game that comes out. They very rarely reuse their engines at all, and they do such a good job at like optimizing and like bug control and like debugging and stuff that Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which came out in the GameCube in the 2000s, it's an old game. Only like in the past 2 years were speedrunners able to find a glitch that helped them beat the game in a faster time in this one area, and these are people who literally spend like hours and hours and hours hitting like walls at certain angles and like rolling within like a 1 second or less than a second like time to try to like get through stuff. And it's so polished that like literally they just found out how to do it, and it's a bitch to do. Jeez. So you would never ever in a realistic setting run into something like that.
Run into a problem.
And then in Cyberpunk, you drive your car and then all of a sudden it goes through the ground and you're flying through the air. And you just die, and like absolutely like ruins the game. Or like in my case, you're trying to do a side mission, and then you walk out of the building, and then it's like, oh wait, you need to go back in the building, and the elevator is locked indefinitely, so you just can't do the side mission.
That was another thing. I remember people were saying there's these bugs where it won't let me complete the mission, and I remember there was a couple instances where CD Projekt Red would release a statement saying, oh, well, we'll fix this in the next patch update, but do this, and this, and then it'll unlock it so that, and it was like, it's like all these like crazy, weird, silly things. And they're pretty much saying, oh, you can either wait till the patch or do this bizarre list of chores, and then you can finish the.
And with Valhalla, there were bugs in that people actually couldn't play the game. Like people literally couldn't like continue in the main story, and that's crazy because like I just paid $60 for this freaking game, and I can't even like play it now. Like I literally like you have my money, and there's nothing I can do because I put over 2 hours into it because you stretched it to 60 fucking hours. it's insane,
Yeah.
And that's why these games have all these bugs, is because they just do not scale it down in the slightest bit, But that's my little rant about games.
I haven't played video games in a couple months, actually. The last thing I played was Ghost of Tsushima, which I thought was amazing.
You're not a real gamer anymore?
No.
We're going to have to cancel this podcast.
Still played the board games, though. That's what I play more of now than anything is board games.
I love board games. I played Monopoly last night.
That one I can't do. I can't do Monopoly.
See, the fun of Monopoly is that everyone agrees that it's bullshit. So then...
Yeah, I can't. I don't have fun playing Monopoly. I don't have fun playing Risk. I have fun playing the more complex board games
that are actually balanced. Because Monopoly's all luck. You can run. Yeah. You can run through the board and buy every single property.
All luck and Risk is all luck.
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple times I've played where I had like 3 troops in a country, and then someone was attacking me, and they got a massive reinforcement that turn, and they put, I don't know, like 25, 30 troops in there, and I rolled all 6s every time, and I just decimated. Just that, in reality, if you think about it, like the numbers would, in a real life battle simulator,
right?
The odds would have been so stacked against, say, like my side of everything, that I would have been decimated in reality. That's why I like the Game of Thrones board game. I feel like
there's no dice.
There's no dice. It's all numbers.
I do like this movement now towards newer board games where it's like less luck based and more strategy based, but not like overly complicated. Like so, because like Monopoly, it's fun. The only fun thing about Monopoly is trying to make trades with people and like trying to like talk your way into stuff. I enjoy that, but that's like the only real fun part of the game.
My thing with Monopoly is I get so tired of, because literally the first hour or two is everyone going around trying to buy up all the properties.
Yeah, and then the next is like, I hope I go to jail so I don't have to go through this. Like,
and that's the first half of the game, and then the second half is you hope people land on your property so you could fuck them with the rent or whatever.
Yeah, and then if you didn't get lucky to get like properties or like be able to get a monopoly naturally, then there's no way for you to actually make money.
Yeah,
because there's always gonna be someone who like has stuff, and then they just end up. It's like it's guaranteed that they're gonna win, like slowly and surely.
Yeah, so that's one game I refuse to play. It's Monopoly.
I wish they like would make like an optimized version, like a newer version where like it wasn't so luck based, where there's actually like a strategy to like getting properties and stuff.
That would be cool, yeah.
But I don't foresee that, because that's another thing where like they just are like the definitive board game that every family plays, and they don't give a shit. They're not gonna.
Like a classic. It's like that Clue. I guess Risk. Who makes those? Is that Hasbro or Parker Brothers?
Oh, Monopoly is Parker Brothers. I don't know if that's like a side company of Hasbro, though.
I think Hasbro got so big that they kind of consumed everything.
Yeah. But there's no reason for any board games now to...
Oh, there's so many board games out now where it's meant to be... There's these complex rules to make sure the game... And I think that's part of the fun of it, is the rules... I don't know. It's these rules that kind of make the game this cohesive kind of... But I mean, we've played games where there really isn't much rules. Like, what was that game that we went back in time to the insane asylum?
Oh, Time Stories?
That's a cool game.
Yeah, that's a cool concept.
And that's more or less, you have cards and you flip them over and you go through the different... I mean, Settlers of Catan, I think that's like the game that gets you into like these more complex games.
Yeah. Settlers of Catan is like the pinnacle board game for me. Because it's luck based, but you make your own luck. Yeah, and you can increase it. Yeah.
Well, it's almost like it's pretty much kind of like it's like stats almost.
Yeah.
Where it's statistically which one of these numbers will appear more than the rest of them, which isn't the truth all the time.
No, because
we'll be playing games and roll like a 12 or 2.
Yeah. That's because those are all independent statistics. They aren't like a group statistic. So like this is something that like gamblers like get stuck on all the time. Is like if you go to like a roulette table and you see like, oh, black's been rolled this many times, like it's lucky, or I'm going to go for red.
Well, that doesn't mean shit, right?
It doesn't mean anything because just because the ball landed on something or your dice were like a 7.
Doesn't mean it's going to land on it again.
Yeah, that has no impact on when you roll it again. So they're all independent statistics that have nothing to do with like the rolling over. And that's why people get fucked at the casino because they feel like they have like a system, but the house always wins.
You know what's the saddest thing I saw when I was sitting at the roulette table at Saratoga Raceway and Casino, and for anyone listening who isn't from around here, all the stuff at Saratoga is all electronic. This dude put in like hundreds of dollars into the machine, and he meant to do like it was either I think he meant to do $30, and the time was running out, and he hit another 0, and he put 300 on a number, and he lost it all. And I don't know. I saw it, and
that's rough.
That was me. My strategy is I go in a casino and I pull out a $20 bill, and I was like, this either goes up or down. And once it goes down, I'm not taking out any more money.
It's a smart way to do it.
But that's what I do at the racetrack. I get luckier at the racetrack than I do at casinos, though. But
yeah, I try to like take like $100, and then if I make money, take the $100 out, pocket it, and then play with your winnings.
That's what I try to do too. Because once I get above a certain number, I'll be like, okay, let me cash out, and get my $20 back. And then the rest of that money, I'll just keep gambling.
Because then you're not really losing.
Yeah, because then I didn't lose any money.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. The real smart thing to do would be like you take those winnings and you pocket those too. Yeah. And then you just like walk out because you're like, okay, I won and nothing can change that if I leave.
It's like nominal, because I've never had a big win at a casino. But like sometimes I would, if I was lucky enough, maybe I could turn that 20 into 40. And then I'd pocket the 20 and then I'll just keep playing with the other 20. And then most likely in the next 10 minutes lose that 20.
Yeah. But it's just fun. You're like paying to just like have fun with your friends, really.
I've had, I think, luckier times more recently at the Saratoga racetrack just because I work there. Mm-hmm. And it's the same jockeys.
Yeah.
It's the same jockeys, same trainers. And just from being there for an entire season and just seeing who because I guess it comes down to the 3 things: the trainer, the jockey, and the horse. If the horse is shit, but it has a good trainer and a great jockey, that jockey can make that horse cross the finish line in first place. Because the jockey knows how to...
Except for in 1930 in the UK, when there was that jockey who had a heart attack on his horse and died, and the horse finished in first in the race. And he was dead when they crossed the finish line.
I never heard about that.
You never heard about that? Yeah, the jockey had a heart attack like during the race and died.
Jeez.
And the horse won the entire race.
That's pretty cool.
And he was just on the back of the horse, just like dead.
The horse is like, we did it. And he's like, why aren't you talking to me?
They're like, man, this guy's so good. He's just like taking a nap. Yeah. This is nothing to him.
He slumped over. Jeez.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to care at all.
But I mean, that's like a freak occurrence.
But yeah, no. But if you have a great horse, good trainer and a shit jockey, even though that horse can outrun any of the rest of those horses, that jockey can fuck up the race and just. So it really comes down to I would just remember the names I was always hearing, like who would come in, and that's usually who I would look for. I would look to see how well that horse has done previously, but I would look for who's riding that horse or who's the trainer, and if it's one of those names I've constantly seen before, and that horse seems to be running well. That's usually who I'll put my money on.
Nice. And you did well with that?
Yeah, it usually works for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, use this info wisely next time you're at the track.
You know what I heard? I can't confirm this, but what I heard was, so when the horse, when a horse wins any of those races, there's a purse attached to that race, and I mean, like you have things like the Kentucky Derby or stuff. Those are like the big time races where it's no matter when. Okay, I'm not explaining this too well. No matter what race you see, even if it's just you show up to any racetrack in America that horses are running, and there's a race going on, there is a prize for that horse to win in that race, and it's usually somewhere in like I don't know, the $20,000, $60,000 range, and it gets split up amongst the horses who come in. Actually, it gets split up amongst all the horses, but whoever comes in first gets the most out of that purse.
Right.
But the jockey gets a cut of that.
Mm.
And what we heard was sometimes some of the jockeys, because it's every season it's always the same jockeys.
Mm-hmm.
And where if it's like 15 to 20 of the same dudes who are like under 4 feet tall, which is insane. If you walk past them, it's like walking past an Oompa Loompa. It's crazy. And they have like these smoking hot 6 foot tall wives. But and they drive like the nicest car. Anyways, if they'd be like, oh, you know, Tom has been having a bad run. He really hasn't been getting any money. He needs to make that house payment. Hold back on this race.
Oh.
Let him cross.
Ooh, a little so you should always look up your jockey's financial situation before and the one who's down on their luck might be the one who pulls
now,
the
I
big...
can't confirm if that's true, but I've heard stories where they're like, hey, he hasn't been doing too great. Just ease off this one.
And you have worked in the business.
Yeah.
Where
you
hear things.
I was also investigated. But
oh, yeah. But that was like a stupid thing.
that was an accident. But, I mean, I could tell that story, too, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
But I used to work at the Saratoga racetrack as a camera. It was like an intern job right out of film school for me. And so if you don't know, Saratoga race course is like one of the biggest, most popular racetracks in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I worked one of the camera towers. And here's the thing. It's one thing because that gets broadcast. There's like a horse racing channel.
Right. Because you can bet even if you're not the race course, right?
Yes, and exactly. And it also gets broadcast across the country at casinos.
Right.
So they use those cameras just for like people to watch. See if I fuck that up. That's like people see it, but it really doesn't matter because they're just waiting for the end.
Mm-hmm.
But what really got me in that moment was I didn't realize. Also, hold on, I'll explain it more. But also the judges who judge the race use those cameras to judge the race properly, to see like, because sometimes jockeys like swat at each other with the riding crops, or they fuck with the other person's horse.
Right.
And I was working, so I was interning there. I also had a job. I just got a job at a production company right at the beginning, and I was cleaning pools. So I was doing all three of those things in a day.
Right. Sorry, I was listening. I was just making sure the door's open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry.
And it's sweltering hot,
yeah.
right?
And you're sitting in these tin boxes like 50 feet in the air, and you're burning hot. And sure enough, never fucked up once the entire time working there. The most important day of the year at Saratoga Racetrack is Travers Day, which is essentially like their Kentucky Derby.
Mm-hmm.
First race, I fell asleep, passed out in the box, did not have my camera following the race at all. So I get chewed the fuck out by my boss. He literally said he would fucking murder. He was like, if I was there, I would fucking murder you right now. This old balding dude who I believed, he called me on my phone. He called me a dumb C word.
Whoa.
Dumb. I don't know if we could say this here. I don't know if people are getting offended.
It's a healthy work environment.
Yeah. You dumb C word. If I was fucking there right now, I would fucking strangle you, you dumb motherfucker. And I was like, I'm so sorry. He's like, don't fucking apologize to me. Do your fucking job. And he hung up the phone. Anyways.
And before you hung up, you're like, by the way, can I get this Friday off? I got a thing.
So.
But then they investigated you.
So, okay.
Right?
So what happened was, at the end of the race, he comes to my tower and he goes, the judges want to see you tomorrow. And I was like, what the fuck the judges want to see?
You won first prize.
Yeah.
10.
I show up like early in the morning the next day. He then apologized for saying he wanted to fucking murder me, which is nice.
Apology accepted, kind sir.
And then I went into an office with this dude and another guy, and he goes, he's like, what do you do? He's like, you compromised the race, blah, blah, blah. Even though there's like other cameras capturing my side.
Right.
He goes, what? He's like, are you doing drugs? I was like, what? He's like, were you strung out on heroin up there? And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I fell asleep.
Listen, I shoot up whenever the moment strikes me. I'm sorry it's not on your time,
I was
sir.
like, he's like, I said, listen, there's no excuse. I fell asleep on the job, but I'm working 3 jobs right now. And he's like, I don't care. He's like, were you doing drugs? And I was like, no. He's like, if we have you do a urine test, will it pass? And I said, yeah. Not very confident. Like, yeah.
But you said yes.
Yeah, but I said yes because I was like, I'm not gonna. I was like, I'm pretty confident in myself that I'll pass a drug test because yeah. So,
you felt confident you would pass it.
I felt confident.
Did they drug test you?
So yes, and here's what I had to do. I had to pull my dick out in front of a federal officer and piss in front of a cup in front of him.
Mm.
So dude got to see my dick, which is good for him, I guess.
He's the real winner of the story.
Yeah. And and
it came back clean.
Yeah. Well, actually, they didn't tell me if it came back clean.
But we can assume that it did.
Yeah. What was crazy was a week later, I saw that dude under my tower. And I was like, oh, fuck, he's coming to like arrest me or something. And he goes, oh, you work here? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, cool. And I was like, are you here to...
Nice cock, by the way.
Yeah. I was like, are you here to, I don't know, tell me something? He goes, no, why? And I was like, well, I don't know. You and your homeboy kind of fucking gave me a new asshole the other day. He's like, oh, that's fine. That's over with. There was nothing. It was like, it was determined it was an accident.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like, okay, so if like,
but then I kept talking with him and I was like, well, what'd you guys think I did? And he's like, oh, we thought one of the trainers paid you off not to film that section of the race.
In case something hinky went on.
Yeah. They thought one of the jockeys would have fucked with the other. And they thought one of the trainers like slipped me a few grand to be like, this is what he's telling me and like for fun. And I'm like, I'm terrified this entire time thinking I did something wrong.
Yeah. And they thought you were bought off.
Yeah.
Or on heroin.
So meanwhile, I accidentally fell asleep in this very hot box.
Yeah. I feel like the drug test though, they probably thought that you were paid off. But a lot of times, I've seen this before in like workplaces where companies will like, if you file like a disability, like you were hurt on the job, they'll immediately drug test you. Because if they find anything, then they'll fire you and they'll say anything that happened to you was because you were on drugs. So like if you did like a claim or something, like they just want all that they can get on you.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't know, but it may be like, oh, what the fuck is this? You know, like also, with like a little Coke or whatever.
Yeah. Also, apparently I wasn't. So I'd worked back in this. So where my camera was, I was back where the horse stables are. Mm-hmm. And the thing about the other cameras is that they're kind of on the pavilion side where, you know, people come and stand and watch the race. Mm-hmm. Mine is like literally where the stables are. And then I found out at that moment also that you need a special type of identification card to even be back there.
Okay.
To be around the horses. And I just had like a basic, just like Saratoga employee card. And they were sending me back there like no problem.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they're probably trying to get stuff on you.
I hear people still talk about me today there though.
Oh really?
Yeah, like I'm like a legend because I fell asleep in the tower. They're like,
that's pretty cool.
I get every once in a while they're like, oh, did you hear about the guy that fell asleep during the race? I was no.
Don't do that.
I was like, that's because
probably like the word of caution to new employees.
Yeah, no, because I remember the last day I was there, I was leaving, and I was standing with I didn't meet a lot of these people because you're by yourself the entire time. And I was around all, and they're like, "Did you hear about the guy that fell asleep in the tower?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did. And
have you heard the legend of Sleepy Nick?
They're like, that dude he's fucking crazy.
This guy's wild.
Yeah.
You're like taking an accidental nap, and they're like, fucking legend over here.
I literally fell asleep because I'm working 3 jobs, and I accidentally fell asleep because I wasn't getting enough sleep. And they're like, this guy's
a legend.
He's got balls just to fucking take naps in between races.
Yeah. Damn. You're like a workplace like ghost now, like a legend. That's hilarious.
That was probably one of my favorite parts of the. They were like, "Did you hear about this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah."
At least you know that you go out on like legendary terms.
I went out with a bang. Yeah.
Yeah. But you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right, baby. Thank you for listening to Tabletop Tonic. You can find us on tabletoptonic.com, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere you can get your podcast, except for one which we will not name, but will soon to be. We hope.
Yeah.
But
and
next week we're going to talk about Justice League.
Yes,
because we want to give everyone a chance to
watch it, give our honest opinions, and also follow us on Instagram. Follow us. Check out our YouTube channel.
Yep, at Tabletop Tonic.
Yep, all Tabletop Tonic, and we have a website. You can check that out too, where all our episodes are on.
And on the YouTube, we upload the videos of us talking as well.
Yeah,
so it's fun.
So if you have any, I don't know, fun questions or want us to talk about something, you can shoot us a DM.
Yes. Also, shoot us a DM, or we also have at tabletoptonic@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments or anything, you want to shoot us an email, we could feature it on like an upcoming episode.
Yeah.
Like something like that. So, and on the anchor.fm website under Tabletop Tonic, you can record a voice message. And if it's funny enough, we'll put it in.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Or if it's a cool question, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. So you can be featured in a future episode.
Or if you have a previous grievance with one of our episodes that you disagree with our opinion, please send that in too.
Yeah, if you're part of the royal family or Saratoga Racetrack, we look forward to hearing from you. But thanks for listening, everyone.
All right.
Hit it.
Bye-bye now.